Yeah, and you're not allowed to be in a bad mood either. You're not allowed to like pick up the phone and be like, ah, I just talked to you
Yeah.
about this. Like you can't ever, you're always gonna be like, oh, really? I love answering questions multiple times. Same question.
Spot on. You can't pick up a call and be like, I'm just not in the mood to write your offer right
Yeah.
now. We'll
Oh,
we'll
right
do it
now
later.
on this. Oh, you wanna go 100,000 under ask because you never know. All right. It's easy to showcase a $20 million house, but what you did was where like there was a scene where you were like you brought him in and you were like, hey, and I was thinking while I was watching, I was like, wow, this is really pretty. And you're like, can you imagine your Thanksgiving here? And I was like, yeah. And I kind of was like, I'm so sad that I'm poor. I can't.
That house made me feel very
And
poor
that's what
too.
I
You're not
knew.
alone.
That's what I knew. I was like, I kind of hate this guy because I'm watching this video, I'm enjoying it, but you're making me feel poor. And then after I left, after it was all over and stuff, I was thinking about it later, which is the mark of good stuff. And I just thought to myself, oh, I would never want to be a realtor showcasing houses in your market. I would never want to compete with that because it was so good. So anyway, I know people on YouTube, they don't want to talk about YouTube and nobody cares, but if you guys get a chance, first and foremost, you got to check out this video. It's epic.
Social media and video and content was really the practical solution to continue to foster great relationships. Like it's awesome that we can have a conversation from Santa Barbara to Arizona. You
Yeah.
found me from my content, and now we'll be able to follow each other and stay up to date with each other
Yeah.
all through the social network. It's powerful
Yeah,
stuff.
that's incredible. So okay, you've done a lot of reading. What got you into real estate? Was it some of the books that you've read? What was the thing that for you were like, I think I'm going to do this? Because
Yeah,
it's actually
two good
it's
questions.
quite courageous what you did, even though most people don't think of it that way. I mean, think of like you could work anything. You're obviously very smart, you're educated, you went to great school, all that. You could do a job anywhere, and you took a job where you didn't get paid for 9 months. Like that is,
Yeah.
and you stuck with it. You're like, no, this is gonna work out. Like, what
Yeah.
brought you into real estate?
Yeah, two main books. And also I got rejected from a couple of the normal jobs that I did really want. So that was kind of a blessing in
That helps.
disguise. Like the $20 an hour sales roles with commission. But um, two main books that I think of off the top of my head. The first is 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Love that book. All about designing a lifestyle, creating sources of passive income. His story of how he traveled the world. Well, he had a business that he was making like 50 grand a month off passively. So I was like, how can I create some passive income? Then the other one was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is kind of an OG finance
Yeah.
book as well, all about creating an asset portfolio and thinking about buying assets before you spend on luxuries and the entrepreneurial mindset. So those books combined kind of led me to be like, okay, what can I do that is passive income that I might be good at, that I'm interested in, and it just all roads led to real estate. I had worked as a trainer in a gym, and I knew a realtor he's Joe, who's my mentor. So I called him up and I was like, can I just meet with you and see what you do every day? Because I had no idea what being a realtor was at all.
Yeah. And when he
And then I'm
showed you
here.
what did he see that you liked? What did he show you that you were like, ugh? Like what's
Yeah,
your favorite part of the business? What's your worst part of the business?
for sure. Favorite part of the business is the cool people I get to meet, and everything from first time home buyers where the wife is pregnant and the husband's working and they're stressed and like, we got to find them a home quick, to a home seller who's been in their house for 40 years and we're selling their beautiful view property as they downsize or move on to their next adventure. So I get to meet cool people from all ranges of um, you know all types of business backgrounds and economic backgrounds and life stories, and I get to kind of be a little part of their life, which I love. What I do not like is definitely, it's a grind business. I have to be ready I pick up my phone late at night. Sometimes I wake up with a handful of texts and I wake up at like 6:30. It's nonstop, and you have to recharge. You have to take care of yourself. You have to eat right, get your mind right, because it can grind you down because you're on all the time.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to be in a bad mood either. You're not allowed to like pick up the phone and be like, ah, I just talked to you
Yeah.
about this. Like you can't ever, you're always gonna be like, oh, really? I love answering questions multiple times. Same question.
Spot on. You can't pick up a call and be like, I'm just not in the mood to write your offer right now.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
we'll
right
do it
now
later.
on this. Oh, you wanna go 100,000 under ask because you never know. All right, yeah, I'll get it right on that. Like,
Yeah. It's a business that's not for everybody. I think the statistic is 9 out of 10 people quit within or after the first year. It weeds
yeah.
people out because anyone can get the license, that's for sure. But to stay in the business, even in your side of the business too, there's a high fallout rate.
Well, I mean, if you just got to have really thick skin, and you got to understand that you're the lowest guy, and even like you have a huge sales organization, you have all these people work for you. You're still the lowest dude, and you got to be willing to like do whatever it takes to help the people around you. And in my experience, that's really been the thing that makes a difference, right? Is that if you just focus in on the needs of others and you try to take care of them first, whether those are your people on your team or whether the clients that you get to help, then then you end up getting what you want anyway.
100%. The more you give, the more you get. Simple
Mhm.
as that. You got to give a lot before you expect anything back.
Well, okay. So then in the Santa Barbara market, just
Yeah.
curious, rental rates here have gone up as the purchase price has gone up. What's the rental market like in Santa Barbara?
Yep. Rental market here is brutal as well. There's a handful of newer constructed 1-bedroom apartments, and they're renting for like 2,600, 2,700 for a 1-bedroom apartment. I have a good deal. I live in a 3-bedroom house or a duplex with 3 of my best friends. And we pay 3,800 a month for
Oh my
a
gosh.
3-bedroom. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm actually in escrow to buy my first income property in Santa Barbara. It's downtown and it's a 1-bedroom.
Good for
I'm
you,
stoked.
sir.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm
turning
stoked for
creating
you.
my passive income.
Nice.
And it's going to be a furnished rental. And I think I'll be able to get for a 1-bedroom, it's going to be furnished and it'll be like shorter term, like 1 to 3 month rental periods. I'm estimating between $300 and $3,500 a month for a furnished 1-bedroom that's downtown. So It ain't cheap. It's not like New York or like San Francisco where I think their prices are like double ours, but I don't know what the Arizona market is, and I think it's a little bit less than ours. Like our rental market is pretty bananas. There's just no inventory and a lot of people that want a place to be here.
Now, I've heard that there's a lot of restrictions in Santa Barbara market, like in terms of redevelopment, changing the outside. How do people find that they get along with that? Is it one of those things where if you're here, you already know, or is it a shock to people? And how do people deal with that, or is it not a thing?
No, it's a great question. I mean, a lot of the people that have lived here or own properties and done renovation projects in the past, they know that our permitting process is strict and time consuming and money consuming. Depending on what renovations you want to do the home, or if you want to do like a new construction project, it's a lot of permitting compared to other parts of the country. I always like to explain, I sell a lot of houses to people from out of town, out of the country, not out of the country, but other states mostly. Like we have a lot of Texas buyers and whatnot. And so it's important, I always educate them, if they want to build or do big projects, it's not going to be like it is in Texas where you can just call your contractor and get to work that day. California is restrictive. They definitely have a lot of policies in place, both for environmental reasons and for just conformity reasons. I think, it's kind of gotten over restricted. I could see us having some great changes. We have a recall for the governor coming up soon, so we'll see what happens there. But there definitely needs to be a little bit more, in my opinion, freedom for the consumer to do what they want in terms of their home. But it's a restrictive process and it's expensive market here, and things take longer than other towns. So I like to educate that to those clients that don't know that, and it's just something you have to know coming into Santa Barbara for sure.
You mentioned environmentalism. I know that, or I've heard that you're a very passionate environmentalist. Tell me about that. What is that?
Yeah.
Like, sounds like a dumb question, but
No,
I've
totally.
never met a passionate environmentalist before. So
yeah.
What's that like?
So I grew up surfing, and that's one of the reasons I came to Santa Barbara too. You see the wave I have back here? Like,
yeah,
I'm
it's great.
obsessed with surfing and I love the ocean. And it's happened to me a handful of times in different locations. But when you're surfing, you're on the water, enjoying, the beautiful the scenes, you see like dolphins and stuff, and then you see like a big glob of plastic come through, or
Ugh.
it just breaks my heart. So my favorite organization to donate to is the Surfrider Foundation, which really protects beaches and oceans. And we've done some awesome fundraisers for them in the past. I got to think of something cool to do for them coming up. But I'm really passionate about the ocean, keeping the beaches clean. And, I just love to use it. So I want to keep it clean and great for generations to come. So, kids in 50 years don't have an ocean full of plastic. They can actually enjoy clean, good water. Like everyone loves the beach. So
Yeah.
I'm passionate about all parts of like the forest and all parts about the environment. But the ocean to me is really what's special.
Yeah, I like that. And you seem very common sense too, because you're like, hey, who doesn't want a clean ocean and clean beach and nice forests and stuff? But then you're also realistic. You're like, maybe these restrictions are getting a little too, a little too hampering to our freedoms. How do you balance the two? Do you feel like there's a conflict, or you feel like, how are you coming to grips with both of those, which might seem like they're sort of, counterbalanced, but obviously they're not.
Yeah, I think there's some restrictions and stuff that are good. If you're in the coastal zone of Santa Barbara, there's additional restrictions, and they're very strict on building like a pool or building, certain types of environmental potential hazards. But there's other parts, they're making it really hard just all throughout California to create new construction projects. And there's a shortage of housing here. So, I see the need where they do require a lot of high environmental policies. And I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, we need more new construction here. Otherwise, everyone's going to leave California and go to Arizona or go to other places because home prices won't be affordable without inventory. So I think there's a balance and a way to do both. The person that I'm going to be voting for in the recall, I think does a great job of doing both. And so I think it's important to stay involved in politics and, especially in the local real estate space. The National Association for Realtors and the California Association of Realtors, they fight really hard for both a good balance of environmental and, homeowner rights, and basically making sure that the public is taken care of.
Have you seen, speaking of sort of a departure from California and exodus, have you seen that in Santa Barbara?
We're still definitely seeing an influx of people to Santa Barbara, but a lot of them are coming from LA and the Bay Area. They're coming from other parts of California. And a lot of the home sellers we're working with right now, me and my team, they are leaving California. The people selling are leaving, but there's still more people coming in now that you can work remote. People want the small town vibe or want a second home now more than ever, because they realize how important having a home of your own is through the COVID experience. So we're definitely still seeing a positive influx of people coming in. But overall, California is definitely losing population. And I forget the statistic, but it was like for the first time in a lot of years that the last 2 years have been net negative for the state of California in terms of, people can sell in the Bay Area their 2-bedroom home for $2 million or $3 million. They go to Arizona, they go to Nevada, they go to Texas. They buy
Utah,
the most beautiful home, Utah, for $1 million or $800K, and they can stow the rest of that for their retirement. I mean, it makes sense.
So you mentioned it a couple of times, which I think is very brave of you. You went with the political stuff. Normally, we don't talk about politics stuff because, it ruins our evergreenness. No, I'm just kidding. That's just a YouTube joke. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, don't find us, YouTube.
I'll have to edit that out so I can play this video in 5 years. No, but I do have a brave question for you. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I think you actually, as an outsider, I find it very interesting. When you go to LA, you see all these tents on the sidewalk, you see all this stuff. It's like a lot of homelessness. There's a lot of homelessness in Hawaii they don't talk about. What's
True.
the homelessness like in Santa Barbara? Is it there too?
Yeah, it's here for sure. I think it's everywhere you go, but here they've done a great job, in my opinion, as of late. It started to get progressively worse as COVID happened. But what they've been doing here is they've opened up. So there was a couple of like inns and motels that closed down, I assume because of COVID. And the government now is renting those out. I don't know what they pay or how this works, but they're basically housing big populations of homeless in these hotel motel areas that have been either gone out of business or I don't know if they've maybe just worked out a deal with the city. But you walk down State Street and there are some homeless people there, but compared to what I've heard about in LA, like we don't have tent cities in Santa Barbara. And I think that's one of the reasons too that a lot of people from LA are coming up here. They're, I think, doing some pretty strong policies to try to get rid of those tent cities and force people to relocate into shelters and into proper living situations, because those were getting out of hand. Like I saw photos. I saw it in person in a couple instances, but I didn't see like the one in Venice or the Skid Row, like,
Yeah.
like tens of thousands of people in tents is what I've heard of, and just fires and violence. And so California's got a lot of work to do and a lot of problems to solve, honestly.
And the thing about it is, it's kind of a double sad, right? Like, I guess the obvious thing is, ooh, like that's scary. But then also it's like, it's not like they want to be homeless either. You know what I mean? It's like you want to help people. And I'm kind of glad they got a nice spot on the beach, but also like, it's, you know what I mean? It's really, it's not really a like this or that issue. It's complicated.
Yep. A great organization to donate to. I don't know if they're in Arizona, but they're all nationwide in California. It's called PATH. I've donated to them before, and they're all about rehabilitating and getting people off the streets, getting them jobs, getting them a good place to stay. Because it's true. It's like those people, I don't think, want to live like that. Maybe there's a very small percentage that does, and just like, have gone down mental health issues or drug issues, but the majority of them don't want to be like that. So I like to get involved, and I want to get more involved as like events start up again, but I've donated to PATH in the past. And that's I think there's, a lot of, as a realtor, you kind of have to be the local champion for your community. Cause at the end of the day, if nobody wants to live in Santa Barbara, like I'm out of a job. So I value the oceans, the beaches, the homeless issue. It's like, it means more to me than maybe just the average person who's visiting here, because this is my community and I love it here. And I love to welcome people here. So I want to make sure it's in good hands.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. As a local person, take us through some local stuff that like people outside of the area might not understand or know about.
Totally. Yeah. On my YouTube, I have a top 5 video for my top 5 taco spots, my favorite beaches, favorite wineries, breweries. I love to, be a voice of local knowledge, and I make a lot of fun videos on my YouTube that show that. It's really fun to, when someone comes from out of town and they're just staying here in an Airbnb for a couple weeks, and they've never been to Santa Barbara, maybe they've been one before. When I meet them at an open house or they find me on social media, I like to be like, oh, if you need a restaurant recommendation, here's my favorite Italian spot, or here's like the best hike in town. My favorite beach in town is a beach called Mesa Lane, so it's kind of like a hidden off the path a little bit beach. So I love to share all the cool spots that I know, that I've lived here now for 7 years. So check those out on my YouTube if you want to learn a little about more Santa Barbara, because I got a lot of cool Santa Barbara specific content. We just did top 5 bakeries, and we're going to do, I think, top 5 pizza spots next.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you give us a little preview? What is the top pizza spot in Santa Barbara? And I have another food question. I'm going to add on to that. So we'll just, cool. What is Santa Barbara? What's the food of Santa Barbara? Is it coastal food? Is it what's the favorite type of food there?
Yeah. So answer question number 1, best pizza in my opinion is Bettina Pizza, which is like Montecito, right out like 10 minutes south of Santa Barbara. They are owned by like New Yorkers, and they do a really cool like Italian style but small scale pizzas. And I think they fly their like pepperoni out from New York. It's oven roasted. Awesome. It's the best. And there's a couple other great spots that have won. I just tried the other day. Revolver Pizza, it just opened up and it's really good too. So that will be on my list. But Santa Barbara is definitely like coastal Californian. We have an incredible scene, not only of, there's obviously the ocean right here. So you get fish and crab and all that good stuff too. We have a great, the valley is all this farm community. So we get really fresh fruit, lettuce. Our farmers markets are amazing. So it's kind of that mix. California grows a huge percentage of the US's produce and food. So we get that mix where we get the ocean, and there's even local like farms with great meats and whatnot. So our food is really top notch. At least coming from Colorado, when I came out here, I was like, food in Colorado is not bad, but it's not known for its food. And the food here is stellar. No complaints about the food here for sure. It's fresh, and we have great chefs that come from all over, and so many good restaurants to choose from in Santa Barbara.
How much do you need to buy a decent, it's decent is in the eye of the beholder, but how much do you need to buy a decent starter home in Santa Barbara?
Yeah. When I first started in the business, you could get a decent starter home for under 7 figures, like under $1 million. And now for a single family home, it's pretty tough. You're going to be looking at a fixer, even if you're in Goleta, which is 15 minutes north, for a single family home. You know, I would say $1.2 million to $1.3 million gets you into the entry level these days. So it's not cheap to live here. That's to say the least. But the thing is, you do sacrifice. Maybe you don't get as nice of a home, but people here, you get the beach, you get the lifestyle. We have like the best weather, in my opinion. It never gets that hot, never gets super cold. So people kind of sacrifice, like, okay, maybe I don't have 6 or 7 bedrooms, but I'm always outside of the house. I'm always on the beach. I'm in a small community with great public schools. So we sacrifice that in terms of the lifestyle that we get to live, in my opinion. And people do come here for the lifestyle. But if you have 10 million to spend, you can get a really nice home here for sure.
Well, if you have a 10 million to spend, you can get really nice anything you want.
Yeah, true that.
Now, okay, so do you have a favorite neighborhood in Santa Barbara?
I do. My favorite neighborhood is the Mesa. It's right off the ocean. It's a really cool, quaint beach coastal community. Most of the homes are, 1,200 to 1,500 square foot if they're the original footprint and haven't been built up. The average sale price there is more like $1.5 million to $1.75 million. A lot of homes there crack the 2s, and oftentimes we have a listing coming up that's going to be $3 million with big views. Obviously, if things have views, that's another big amount of dollars thrown at the price, because people really who come from out of town or who have lived here and they value waking up, drinking your coffee, looking at the ocean every day. That's like the Santa Barbara lifestyle in a bottle. So the Mesa is really cool because you can walk to the beach. There's great schools, awesome young, there's young families and young professionals and people that have lived in their house for 50 years and are like original or second owners. And it's just a really tight-knit community. And I love selling that neighborhood a lot.
Drop it a comment, like it, and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. Thee knowest thy drilleth.
Whoa.